say thank you for tuning in to your favorite show, Impendulo. I go by the name of Sazi. I'm your host for the show. Gender, sociologists, are functionalists, conflict theorists. What are they? Luckily, I managed to get you guys a group of children from UKZN, and they call them Black Panthers, and they are going to enlighten us with these theories. So I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves. So we will start from this side. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Kitana. Yatulaza Sbiga.
Nkululeko Mbatha.
Lindy Dlamini.
Samngelisi Madulini. Sabila Nyumalo. Resha Sheze.
Khumalo Senzo.
Wow, thank you guys for availing yourselves to the show tonight. So I'm going to allow you guys to enlighten us on the theories. So without any further waste of time, so can you help us and give us an idea of what's going on?
Before we get on to discussing these three fundamental topics, I'd like to just put you up to speed, guys, about a scenario. When Harry was born, his parents, Steve and Bob, were delighted to add another boy to their family. But as their baby boy began to grow and develop, they noticed that Harry began to express himself in a manner that they viewed more as feminine rather than masculine. He gravitated towards dolls and other toys that our culture typically associates with girls. But Harry's preference was not simply about liking pink more or blue more, or flowers more than fire trucks. He even began to draw himself as a girl, complete with a dress and high-heeled shoes. In fact, Harry did not just wish to be a girl, he actually thought that he was a girl. In kindergarten, Harry often got into arguments with male classmates because he insisted that he was a girl and not a boy. He even started calling himself Haley instead of Harry. Steve and Bob met with several psychologists. All of them told him that Haley was transgendered. But Steve and Bob had a hard time understanding that their 5-year-old son could have already developed a gender identity and went against society's expectations. Concerned with the social ramifications associated with the child being transgendered, Steve hoped that this was just a phase. But Bob and eventually Steve realized that Harry's feelings were genuine and unyielding, and they made this decision to let Harry live as Haley, a girl. They came to this decision after concluding that the criticism he would endure from his peers and other members of society would be less damaging than the confusion he might experience internally if he was forced to live life as a boy.
Construction of gender. According to socialists, gender, like all social identities, is social constructed. Social constructivism is one of the key theories socialists use to put gender into a historical and cultural focus. For example, when a boy grew up, he grew up knowing that a boy wears a trouser and a girl wears a dress. For instance, if I had to depict on pictures that are in the charts, here a boy is taught that he should be masculine and girls should be emotional. And that is when boys and girls are shaped by the societal norm. We learn what is expected from gender, from what our parents teach us, as well as what we pick up at school through religion and culture teachings. In the media and various social institutions, society builds the children's mind by helping them construct knowledge. We learn what is expected of our gender from what our parents teach us, as well as what we pick up at school through religion or culture teachings, in the media and various other social institutions. Society builds the children's mind by helping them construct knowledge. Social constructivism is a social theory about how meaning is created through social interaction, through the things we do and say with other people. This theory shows that gender is not a fixed or innate fact, but instead it varies across time and place. Gender experiences will evolve over a period's lifetime. Gender is therefore always in change. We see this through generational and generational changes within families, as social, legal, and technological changes influence social values of gender.
Sociologist. Sociology of gender is a noticeable subfield of sociology. Social interaction directly linked with sociology regarding social structure. One of the most important social structure is status. Thus determined based on the position that an individual possesses, which affects on how he or she will be treated by society. And one of the most important statuses as individual claim is gender. Societies tend to have a binary gender system in which everyone is categorized as male or female. In fact, learn what sex is attributed to them and what roles they are expected to learn through social contact. When the society reinforces gender-appropriate behavior and punishment, what may be seen as deviant behavior, it socializes children to their genders. One researcher and the scholar claim that the parents also expose children to gender from the time they were born via specific toys, colors, and the names associated with the gender in the brainal system. For our examples with this picture, as you all see that in this picture, in the minds of a boy, there's a matulzi, while in the minds of the girls, there's a mascaras, comb, hair dryers, everything that deals with the ladies. They also suggest that a parental attitude about gender can be different from male to female children, and that this attitude develops quicker after the child's birth. Thus stems more from traditional families where a man seems as a leader of the house. It's this kind of attitude, perspective that shape the child, the views of gender. Functionalism is a sociological theory that was initiated by a French sociologist, Emile Durkheim. It is also known as structural functionalism. The theory states that society is made up of different interdependent parts that contribute to the functioning and the stability of the society. If one part fails to play its role, that the result to deviate, then the society adjusts, which brings about social change and stability is restored. Functionalists accuse that the two genders, male and the females, have different roles to play for the stability of the society. They also advocate for the gender differences as they hold the belief that gender differences are good for social stability.
Part of this TV show, so my only job is to discuss how functionalists view gender. So according to the functionalist perspective, a male and a female have to play their different roles in the society for it to function well. Functionalists also have the belief that men and women are very different and it should be strongly reflected in society to maintain social stability. The perspective justifies the status quo and the process of cultural hegemony which maintains it. Women and men have different roles in a society that allow the society to function efficiently.
We have one body with different body parts. Every part depends to another part. That means they are all interdependent. Women and men have different roles in a society, and that allows the society to function efficiently. The functionalists are of the view that this division of family labor ensures that important societal tasks are fulfilled and it provides stability for family members. In a traditional society, women play a role of being housewives and then men play a role of being breadwinners. So, males work for the family and protect their families. Traditional society and functionalists share the same views when it comes to gender.
Males work for the family and protect, and they are seen as the head of family. Traditional society and functionalists share the same views when it comes to gender because they believe in gender roles maintain an efficient and stable society.
According to conflict theorists, gender differences reflect the subjugation of women by men. When sociologists examine gender from this perspective, we can view men as the dominant group and women as the subordinate group. As we can see here, the males assume the position of being powerful than the women. One may argue that society in a conflict theory is regarded as a struggle for dominance. Social problems are created when dominant groups exploit or oppress subordinate groups. As we can see here, the husband takes the role of being the exploiter and the wife is being exploited. She is busy doing her chores while the husband is relaxing and is expecting her to be giving him food and everything. This is depicting exploitation. It is difficult for a woman to rise above men as dominant group members create the rules for success and opportunity in the society. Engels suggested that the same owner or worker relationship seen in the labor force is also seen in the household, with women assuming the role of being the worker. This is due to women's dependence on men for the attainment of wages, which is even worse for women who are entirely dependent upon their spouses for economic support. This theory focuses on the social placement of family that deposits people at birth into families who possesses varying degrees of economic resources. People deposited into their wealthier families will work to persevere existing inequality and the power relations in the broader society because they clearly benefit from the overall power imbalances. Gender roles, according to conflict theorists, further perpetuates the gap between men and women. As we can see here, gender role is practiced here because here the woman takes the role of being domesticated and doing the house chores while the husband or the man is doing the maintenance of the car. In most families, we see this happening where the husband or the father does the maintenance of the house, for example, by fixing the doors, windows, and etc. Thus, forever maintaining a state where men become the driver of societal ideas and keeping women inferior to men.
Critics of functionalism. The post-apartheid era is built on the premises of equal opportunity, which simply means everyone in South Africa must be treated equal. This idea aims to do away with the perspective that portray women as subordinate and therefore should forever depend on the men for survival. One thing the contemporary has managed to successfully prove is that women can survive without being entirely dependent on men. This idea of functionalism has been profoundly utilized to justify male dominance and the gender stratification. They completely ignore the role played by women in ensuring that the success of female structure. Functionalist perspective applied to contemporary society ignore the idea of equality and completely regard the idea of equal opportunity. This view has been criticized for refining rather than reflecting gender role. The contemporary is built on the premises of equality for all citizens of South Africa and applied to functionalism in such a democracy.
I will be discussing the critiques of the conflict theory. Okay. It can be said that this theory tends to neglect the importance of shared values in public consensus in the society. By doing so, it automatically underplays the degree of cohesion and stability in the society. Moreover, it disregards the fact that not only the elites, rather the dominant group benefit from everything that is said to bring about conflict among these groups. The conflict theory does not consider social cohesion. In other words, it states that there is no social cohesion in the society. People always arrive to some conflict whenever they would like to bring about change. For an example, when employees want to raise their dissatisfaction about their working conditions to their employers, there will be a conflict for a change to take place. It is dangerous not to consider social cohesion because in platforms like the work environment, it might hold back the success. The conflict theorists' view on gender only point out the issues of gender roles and unfair treatment of women, the lack of solution on how to go about addressing such issues, which is sometimes the main issue, identifying without having concrete solutions.
Of time. It is of no use to be aware of shortcoming of gender roles in a society and they without any conventional change.
In conclusion, as a group, we feel that it's imperative to have an implicit understanding of both functionalist and conflict theorist views of gender to help better our pedagogical domains. These views are what classes are made of, so as teachers, a public figure. It's important to know whether you are practicing something positive for the children and not perpetuating the stereotypes. Thank you.
Cross my heart, hope to die. To my lover, I'd never lie. Said be true.